Hello friends, my name is Ugly Fish and I am in the final stages of making 1 million in a month on Stardew Valley. So far, I've managed to raise 830 gold. I'm not good at Stardew Valley, so I've set myself just one rule. The product has to have had some kind of processing this season for me to be allowed to sell it. I can't just sell my old stock, but anything else is absolutely fine. As always, I started off with a sweep of the farm. I gave Toby a pat and a drink. I picked up my artisan goods from the shed and I got more cheese on the go. Neither the greenhouse nor the jam shed were fruitful, but my crop of cauliflower had come in. I was tempted to leave some of it to see if I could make a giant crop because that's not something I've been able to do yet. But as the World of Warcraft goblins taught me, time is money and I am low on time. So I picked them all. As always, I thanked my animals for their contribution to my capital, and then I picked up the spuds and strawberries on my smallest island and headed back to my artisan shed. With 7 days left, I can squeeze in another spud harvest, so most of today's crop gets turned back into seeds. I needed to replant and water them today, so I set to work on that, praying I had enough because I didn't want to have to buy anything from Pierre this week. And I managed to replant almost every space. Almost. After giving some gift jams, I decided to go and see how Ginger Island was doing, seeing as I couldn't remember when I was last there, what I'd planted there, or if what I'd planted was ready. And it turns out I'd planted loads of pineapples, but none of them were ready. The roots weren't worth much, so I sulked and decided to magic myself all the way back home. I did some restocking of my artisan shed before popping back to the beach to dig and forage for shells and to replenish all of my crab pots, which I had forgotten about until my earlier trip to the beach. After that I popped to the quarry, but there was nothing there either, so I magicked home again. A quick visit to the jam shed revealed some unexpected jellies, which I collected and replaced, and I collected the fruit gifts from the fruit bats. With so many cranberries and strawberries in stock, I decided the best thing to do was just sell these straight away. I spent the rest of the day committing a serious amount of deforestation because my profit is more important than homes for the squirrels, and I used that wood to create a few more casks. Obviously this won't help me this season, but I'm investing for the future. And then I headed to bed to dream of money. Being a secondary harvest day, it wasn't a big profit, but it wasn't a terrible profit. It was about what I expected, but I will need to be making a little bit more than that daily to hit my goal in time. Tuesday started with Harvey reminding me that tomorrow is a festival, which stressed me out. Before I went about the daily grind of pat dog, which that's not a grind actually, that is a joy. Collect products, replenish machines, and harvest. My big potato field had come in, but with it being so late in the season, I wouldn't have time for another one, so I accepted that I will be losing some of yesterday's profit to parsnip seeds. I handed over my hard-earned cash to Pierre, who is an even bigger scumbag than I am, I'm just better at it, before heading home to get them in the ground and watered ASAP. I hadn't bought enough, so me and Sprinter Sakura raced back to town to buy the right amount this time before heading back to the farm as fast as we could to get those fields filled. Impatient and with no obvious idea with what I should be doing next, I fell asleep at 4:30. I will definitely regret that, but considering how early I fell asleep, I made around the same that I did yesterday. I probably should have stayed awake and fished. If I don't make 1 million now, I've only got myself to blame. That was incredibly stupid of me. Wednesday, the Spring Festival has given way to a full strawberry harvest, which was an excellent start, taking away some of the bitterness that I was feeling about my early night. My honey was up, making the expected profit of today a little bit sweeter than expected, and the cranberries and all my fruit trees were ready to be collected from the greenhouse as well. I popped some cranberries into storage for future gift jams, but I sold the vast majority to make up for yesterday's bad decision. I then headed to the jam shed to actually see how my gift jams were getting on, and I was surprised to see a fair few had popped. With it getting closer to crunch time, I sold the jam. Profit over people, I can gift them jam later on. I raced to the quarry and was relieved to see the wine and diamonds ready to sell, and I started to think that maybe sleeping earlier wasn't a bad idea after all, and I was actually being very efficient. The rest of the day was spent wondering if Harvey was going to flirt with other people right in front of my face. So after the dance, rather than go home with Harvey, I headed off to the quarry to refill the kegs. I spent a few moments at home being scared of my own scary daughter before heading off to bed for the evening. I am hoping for a more comfortable profit today. If I stay at 20k for the rest of the week, I should make it, provided today is good, and it is good. To be honest, it's not as good as I'd expected. Selling off all the cranberries was a very good idea. I can't do the maths, I've lost track, but I do think I'll be able to make it. Probably jinxed myself now. I hoped Thursday wouldn't be as miserable as the weather, and things started well with post from Mayor Lewis with 500 gold attached. I collected my small second day strawberry harvest before heading into the jam shed for jam. It was at this point that the grindy Groundhog Dayness of the whole challenge kicked in badly, so I was grateful that there were only 3 days left. And to cheer myself up from the bad weather and distract me from the monotony of existence, I decided to take a trip to Ginger Island to see if the pineapples had finished growing. And they had. So I did the exact same thing that I did every other day, but at least this time I'm on a tropical island. I stayed on Ginger Island for a while. I planted some strawberry seeds I had, I collected some resources, and I did some fancy fish fishing, heading home just in time at the end of the day. Despite the weather, that was a glorious day because I have technically made 1 million. I've done it with 3 days to spare, but what I haven't done because of my expenses is managed to get 1 million more gold than what I started with. So that's challenge 2, and after my tropical gateway it was back to the grind on Friday. But it started very promising because some strawberry wine had dropped. I hadn't collected from my animals in a while, so I popped to the barn to collect their goods, stocked up my artisan shed, and then popped to the quarry and found it full of resin. So I popped back home to collect keg making equipment and managed to get 4 brand new kegs stocked and ready for next week. I then went back to the farm because I realised that my parsnips would be up, but I decided to leave them. I couldn't get another harvest of anything in time, and I hate seeing my farm looking bare, so I picked my extra strawberries and I headed to the coop to pick up goods from the grabber that I couldn't carry this morning. I stocked up my sheds, and with no idea about what else I should do, I headed to the mines. At this point, any gems, geodes or coal would be great for me resources wise. I wasn't looking to make any profit from this trip, I just wanted stuff. And I got a fair amount of stuff, although I'm always bitter about how hard it is to mine coal in this game. I headed home to empty my pockets, collect my artisan goods, and process the geodes I'd just collected. In between waiting for geodes, I popped to the jam shed and was genuinely amazed to see a good stock of wine was ready. So obviously, that got collected to be shipped, and as I was leaving the shed, loads of jam finished as well, right before my eyes. So I swapped my strawberries for cranberries and collected the jam too. My late night harvest resulted in a great final shipment, and I headed to bed with a smile on my face. I have done it. I started the challenge with 231,506 gold. I made it to 1 million gold. I then made 1 million gold. I hit that yesterday, but because of expenses, I wasn't at 1 million more than I'd started the challenge with, but now I am. I've done it. I'm really happy with myself. I know this is not a big deal for a lot of Stardew players, but it is for me. Shall we carry on with the week though? Shall we speedrun? As much as I think those side wipes and that montage music is funny, I don't think I'll do it again for Sunday. I think watching anything go that quickly again will make me travel sick. Sunday gave way to my final strawberry harvest of the season, netting me even more last minute profit, but I was so impatient to see that profit that I went to bed at 10:20 a.m. finishing up spring on a healthy 41,049 gold day. I am ready for summer. And now everyone's favourite part, some statistics. Going into summer, I own 1,334,879 gold. Over spring, I made 1,164,944 gold, which means over spring I spent around 60k. My best day was spring 16, with nearly a quarter of my gold being made in one day, and my worst day was day 2, which is kind of expected. And in conclusion, that's it. That was me making 1 million in a month on Stardew Valley. It was a treacherous and repetitive journey. Repetitive being the operative word, but we did it. Thank you so much for farming along with me. I really appreciate you sticking it out. If you enjoyed the video, please do feel free to pop a thumbs up below. And if you would like to see more content, consider subscribing too. Now let's have a bottle of strawberry wine, a relax, and get ready to do exactly the same thing next season. And until then, bye!